Let me say something that's going to make some people uncomfortable. And if it hits you, good. That means it's working. The real reason a lot of black men struggle financially isn't just racism. It's not just the system. It's not just bad luck. Those things are real, but they're not the full story. Let me talk about child support from a place of truth, not emotion. I've been supported and paid child support for my kids since they were born. Not late, not hiding, not running from day one. So when I talk about this, I'm not speaking from theory, I'm speaking from experience. And let me be clear before anybody gets defensive. This isn't about avoiding responsibility. This is about understanding the financial reality and how it forces you to either level up or stay stuck. Child support is real, it's consistent. It doesn't care about your excuses. It comes out whether you're comfortable or not. Every month, that money is gone before you touch your paycheck. And here's the part nobody tells young men. When you're paying child support, you're playing the financial game on hard mode. I still had cars, I still bought a house, I still lived a decent lifestyle. But let me tell you what I didn't have. I didn't have the luxury of being lazy. I didn't have the luxury of poor planning. I didn't have the luxury of wasting money. I didn't have the luxury of I'll figure it out later. Because later doesn't work when the bill is automatic. So what did I have to do? I had to hustle harder. I had to grind smarter. I had to pick up side gigs. I had to work overtime. I had to start businesses. I had to say no to a lot of comfort. Anything legal, ethical, and productive, I've probably done it. Not because I wanted to be a superhero, but because failure wasn't an option. Here's the uncomfortable truth. A lot of men don't struggle because of child support. They struggle because they don't adjust their mindset after child support. They want to live the same lifestyle they had before kids with half the disposable income. That math doesn't math. So instead of adapting, some men they get angry, blame the system, resent the mother, avoid responsibility, or mentally check out. And that's where everything collapses. I had to make a decision early on. Either I complain or I become more valuable. And let me say this clearly because it matters. Child support didn't break me. Undisciplined thinking would have. I had to become sharper, more intentional, more focused, more strategic. I had to treat money like a mission, not a mood. That meant budgeting tightly, cutting unnecessary spending, choosing assets over flexing, delaying gratification, reinvesting in myself. Was it easy? Psst, hell no. Was it fair? It doesn't matter. It was necessary. And here's the part young men need to hear. If you don't plan your life, the system will plan it for you. Child support doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't care about your timing. It doesn't care about your excuses. So if you're a young man listening to me right now, hear me clearly. Having kids before you're financially stable doesn't make you a man. Handling the responsibility does. And if you already have kids like I do, the question isn't why me? The question is how do I rise? I'm not special. I'm not lucky. I'm not exempt. I just refused to fold. I refuse to let responsibility turn into resentment. I refuse to let pressure turn into excuses. I refuse to let the situation define my ceiling. I adapted, I worked, I built, I sacrificed. And that's the part we don't celebrate enough. Not complaining, not avoiding, not blaming, doing the work anyway. So when I say child support can financially cripple men, what I really mean is this. It will expose you. It will expose your discipline, your work ethic, your planning, your mindset, your willingness to grow. And if you respond the right way, it won't break you. It'll actually force you to level up. Poor financial literacy. Let me say this up front because context matters. Most black men were never taught how money actually works. Not in school, not at home, not in our communities. We were taught how to survive, not how to build. We were taught how to hustle, how to grind, how to get money, but not how to keep it, grow it, or protect it. And that gap is costing us generations. I didn't grow up learning about credit scores. Nobody explained interest rates to me. Nobody broke down how debt compounds. Nobody told me how banks think, how lenders move, how money multiplies. I learned by trial and error, and error is expensive. See, when you don't understand money, you still use it, you just use it blindly. You swipe, you sign, you finance, you lease, you borrow, and then one day you wake up wondering why you work so hard but still feel behind. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. A lot of black men don't have an income problem, they have a money management problem. Money comes in and immediately goes out. Not because they're irresponsible people, but because nobody ever showed them a system. So money gets treated emotionally instead of strategically. I've seen it and I've lived it. We get a raise, lifestyle goes up. We get a bonus, we celebrate it instead of building with it. We get a tax return, we spend it before it even hits the account. Because nobody taught us that money should have assignments. Every dollar should know where it's going before you do. Listen, if you don't give money a plan, it will disappear every single time. Another hard truth: we were taught to consume, not to own. We know brands better than balance sheets. We know prices, but not percentages. We know monthly payments, but not total costs. We'll argue about sneakers, but won't read a loan agreement. We'll research a car for weeks, but won't research a credit report. And that's not stupidity, that's conditioning. And let me say this clearly because it's important. Being uninformed isn't your fault. Staying uninformed is. At some point, ignorance stopped being an explanation and start being a decision. We live in an era where information is free. Financial literacy is no longer locked behind privilege, it's locked behind discipline and curiosity. YouTube, books, podcasts, courses, ChatGPT. There's no excuse to not know at least the basics. Here's where it really hurts. Poor financial literacy doesn't just affect money, it affects choices. It affects where you live, what jobs you take, whether you leave toxic situations, how much stress you carry, how present you can be as a father. Money problems bleed into every area of life. And the saddest part, most of it is preventable. I had to reprogram how I think about money. I stopped asking, can I afford the payment? And started asking, is this building my future or draining it? I started choosing assets over applause, ownership over appearance, stability over ego. That shift didn't make me flashy, it made me free. And this is the message I really want black men to hear. You don't need to be rich to be financially disciplined. You need to be intentional. Budgeting isn't broke behavior, it's grown man behavior. Learning credit isn't corny, it's power. Talking about money isn't embarrassing, avoiding it is. Nobody taught us, that's true. But now we know better. And once you know better, the responsibility is yours. Financial literacy isn't optional anymore. It's survival. And the moment black men take control of their money instead of letting money control them, that's when everything starts to change. Keeping up with the Joneses is keeping black men broke. Let me say something that might offend some people. And if it does, I need you to sit with that feeling instead of reacting to it. A lot of black men are not broke because they don't make money. They're broke because they're trying to look like they make money. Think about it. That's the truth. We are bleeding financially trying to maintain an image that doesn't pay us back. Designer clothes, luxury cars, chains, watches, trips, sections, bottles, all of that. And let me be clear, I'm not anti nice things. I like nice things too. But there's a difference between enjoying success and performing success. And too many of us are performing. Here's the uncomfortable part. We live in a culture where looking successful gets more respect than being successful. Nobody claps for having no debt, a 750 credit score, an emergency fund, ownership, investments, peace of mind, but everybody claps for a new car with a high payment, designer fits, flashy vacations, bottles on the table. So we chase applause instead of assets. And applause doesn't pay bills. Let me say this straight up. If you're driving a car that costs you peace, wearing clothes that cost you progress, and financing a lifestyle that delays your future, that's not success. That's self sabotage with a filter on it. And social media made it worse. Now we're comparing our real lives to someone else's highlight reels. We see people flexing online and assume they're up, they got it, they winning. But what you don't see is this the debt, the payment, the stress, the lack of savings, the zero assets. A lot of wealth on a timeline is rented. Here's another truth people don't like. Some black men spend money to feel respected. Respect they don't feel at work. Respect they don't feel in society. Respect they don't feel internally. So money becomes armor. The car says, take me seriously. The clothes says, I'm somebody. The lifestyle says, I made it. But if you need things to validate you, you'll never have enough of them. Let's talk about the Joneses. Most of the Joneses we're trying to keep up with are broke too. We're racing people who are sprinting in place. And the real tragedy, we don't pass down the clothes. We don't pass down the cars. We damn sure don't pass down the trips. We pass down nothing. No assets, no ownership, no financial literacy, no blueprint. Just stories about how fly we used to be. That's not legacy, that's entertainment. Let me flip this on his head. You know what real power looks like? Saying no when everyone else says go. Driving a paid off car. Wearing regular clothes. Stacking quietly. Building behind the scenes. And not explaining yourself. Real wealth is boring at first. It doesn't post well. It doesn't get likes. It doesn't trend. But it gives you options. And options are freedom. Here's the line I want you to remember. You cannot flex your way into wealth. You either spend money to impress people or you invest money to free yourself. You can't do both forever. At some point, the bills come due. And the men who win long term are the ones who stopped auditioning for approval and started building for stability. I'm not saying don't enjoy life. I'm saying earn your lifestyle. Build first, flex later, if you even still want to. Because once you taste peace, ownership, and control, approval doesn't hit the same. Lack of discipline, the real reason money slips through our fingers. A lot of black men don't struggle financially because they don't have opportunity. They struggle because they don't have discipline. And before somebody jumps in the comments screaming, the system, listen, I already know the system is real, but the system is not the reason you bought a car you couldn't afford. The system is not the reason you order out 5 times a week. The system is not the reason you keep starting things and never finishing. At some point, we gotta stop blaming the outside world for what's happening inside our daily habits. Because discipline is the difference between a man who gets paid and a man who stays broke. Here's the controversial truth. Most men don't have a money problem, they have a consistency problem. They're consistent with distractions, consistent with comfort, consistent with excuses, consistent with procrastination, but not consistent with saving, investing, learning, building, showing up every day. And wealth is built on boring consistency, not motivation, not hype, not I'm about to start Monday. Let's talk real. A lot of black men love the idea of success more than the discipline required to earn it. They want the lifestyle, not the process. They want the applause, not the sacrifice. They want to look like the boss without the boring daily habits that makes you the boss. That's not a money issue, that's a manhood issue. Because a grown man handles what's uncomfortable to create what's unstoppable. And let me hit another nerve. We've got too many men who are addicted to instant gratification. They can't wait. They can't delay pleasure. They can't say no. So money comes in and is gone by the weekend. Why? Because discipline is the ability to tell yourself no today so you can tell life yes later. But if you can't control yourself, money will never stay with you. You can't budget your way out of a mindset problem. Let me say it another way. You don't keep money by making more money. You keep money by becoming the kind of man who doesn't waste money. Because if you make more money with the same habits, you just become a richer version of the same problem. More income with no discipline just creates bigger payments, bigger mistakes, and bigger regrets. Here's what discipline looks like financially. You have a plan for every dollar. You save before you spend. You invest before you flex. You stop buying things to impress people. You stop making emotional purchases. You stop celebrating every check like it's a holiday. You learn the game, then play it strategically. And if that sounds too strict to you, that's exactly why you keep repeating the same financial cycle. Because the freedom requires structure. Now let's go even deeper. Discipline isn't just about money. Discipline is about identity. It's the man you are when nobody is watching. It's your ability to wake up when it's hard, do the work when you don't feel like it, say no to temptation, stay consistent when results are slow. And I'm going to say something else controversial. A lot of men don't want discipline because discipline exposes them. It exposes laziness. It exposes poor time management. It exposes addiction to comfort. It exposes the fact that you're not as hungry as you claim to be. Because if you were truly hungry, you wouldn't need motivation. You need a plan. And listen, I'm not judging from a distance. I'm talking to myself too. I had to become disciplined if I wanted to live a stable life. I had to become disciplined if I wanted to own property. I had to become disciplined if I wanted to build businesses. I had to become disciplined if I wanted to break cycles because I realized something. Excuses are expensive. Every time you procrastinate, it costs you. Every time you avoid discomfort, it costs you. Every time you chase pleasure over progress, it costs you. And we've been paying that price for too long. So here's the final truth. If you want money to stay, you need discipline to stay. The game isn't fair. That's fine. So we have to be sharper. We have to be more consistent. We have to stop treating discipline like punishment and start treating it like the price of freedom. Because discipline isn't what limits you. Discipline is what unlocks you. Emotional spending and escape. We're funding our pain instead of fixing it. A lot of black men aren't broke because they don't make money. They're broke because they spend money trying to cope. And I'm not talking about budgeting mistakes. I'm talking about emotional spending. Spending because you're stressed. Spending because you're angry. Spending because you're lonely. Spending because you're depressed. Spending because you don't feel respected. Spending because you're trying to escape yourself. That's not shopping. That's self-medication. And let's be real. A lot of us were never taught how to deal with emotions. We were taught to man up, to shake it off, to stop complaining, to go get money. So what do we do with the pressure? We don't process it. We purchase it away. We don't heal. We hide. and that hiding has a price tag. Let's name the biggest ones. Alcohol. We spend money to drink poison and call it relaxing. We celebrate with it, we mourn with it, we numb ourselves with it, and then we wonder why we're tired, anxious, and broke. In a lot of communities, alcohol is the most socially accepted form of self destruction. You could be disciplined all week, then lose it all on the weekend, and people call it fun. That's a trap. The other one, weed. Listen, I'm not here to argue legalization. I'm talking about dependency. If you need it to sleep, to eat, to calm down, to feel normal, that's not recreation. That's reliance. And reliance costs money, time, ambition, and clarity. A lot of men are smoking their motivation away and calling it self care. Another one, fast food and convenience spending. You know how much money people spend eating out because they're too tired to cook? That's emotional spending too. It's I deserve it. It's I had a long day. It's I'm stressed. It's I'm not in the mood. And now you're broke and unhealthy. Two bills for one habit. Next one, women and attention. Yeah, I'm going there. A lot of men spend money chasing validation. Dates they can't afford, trips they can't afford, lifestyle they can't maintain because they want to feel like the man. But let me tell you something. If you have to buy attention, you didn't earn respect. Some men are not dating, they're compensating. Here's the part people don't like. A lot of black men don't have a spending problem. They have an unhealed pain problem. Because when pain is unaddressed, you will fund distractions. You will pay for temporary relief. You'll pay for escape. You'll pay for numbness. And the reason this is so dangerous is because it's quiet. It's not one big purchase that ruins you, it's the daily tasks. $20 here, $40 there, $80 on a weekend, another $50 because you had a hard day. Next thing you know, you're living paycheck to paycheck and don't even understand why. Because your money isn't being spent with intention, it's being spent with emotion. Let me say this plainly. If your life is stressful and your solution is spending, you're going to stay trapped because you're using money to treat symptoms instead of treating the cause. And you can't escape your way into wealth. Wealth requires presence, it requires clarity, it requires long term thinking. And emotional spending kills all three. Now, here's the shift. A real man doesn't just learn how to make money, he learns how to manage his mind. Because if you don't master your emotions, your money will always pay for it. So the question is not, how do I stop spending? The real question is, what pain am I trying to avoid? What emotion am I trying to numb? What truth am I running from? Because once you face the real issue, you don't need to buy distractions. You start building solutions. And that's my message. Stop funding your pain, start fixing it. Stop spending money to feel better for one night and start investing in the life you don't need to escape from. That's how we break the cycle. That's how black men stop staying stuck. No long term vision. Too many black men are living off vibes. A lot of black men are not struggling financially because they're dumb. They're struggling because they're living life with no plan. Just vibes, just reactions, just I'll figure it out, just God got me, just it'll work out. And I believe in faith, but faith without a plan is just gambling. If your financial strategy is hope, that's not a strategy. That's why you stay stuck. We've got too many men who are talented, creative, hardworking, but directionless. They wake up, go to work, come home, scroll, eat, complain, sleep, and call that life. No blueprint, no timeline, no targets, no system, no mission. And then they wonder why 5 years goes by and nothing changes because money follows direction. If you don't know where you're going, your money won't know what to do either. And let me say this, some men stay broke because being broke gives them an identity. It gives them something to talk about, something to blame, something to bond over. I'm broke becomes a personality trait. And as long as you treat struggle like culture, you'll never escape it. Because you can't build wealth in a mindset that celebrates survival. And here's what lack of vision actually looks like. You spend first and figure it out later. You don't track your money. You don't set goals. You don't invest. You don't build credit intentionally. You don't think in years. You think in weekends. You don't have a plan for your kids. You don't have a plan for your future self. You don't have a plan for emergencies. You don't have a plan for growth. So life hits you and you crash. Because when you don't plan, everything becomes a surprise. And a surprise is expensive. And we got to talk about this too. A lot of men don't want a plan because a plan exposes you. A plan forces you to be accountable. A plan forces you to measure yourself. A plan forces you to stop lying because it's easy to say I'm trying, but a plan asks, trying what? When? How often? With what money? With what system? A plan makes excuses uncomfortable. And that's why people avoid it. Let me tell you what changed my whole mindset. When I started thinking like an owner, I stopped moving like a drifter. I started asking myself questions like, where do I want to be in 5 years? What income do I need to get there? What skills do I need to earn that? What habits do I need to keep that? What circle do I need to support that? What do I need to cut off to protect that? And once you have answers, you stop making random decisions. You stop spending emotionally. You stop chasing the moment. You stop making short-term choices that destroy long-term goals. And here's the controversial line. A lot of men don't have long-term vision because they're afraid to face the truth. They don't believe they can actually win. So they avoid planning because planning makes it real. Planning forces you to confront your potential. And potential is scary because then the question becomes, if I'm capable, why haven't I done it? So instead of writing a plan, they stay distracted, they stay entertained, they stay busy, they stay outside. But being outside doesn't build wealth. A plan builds wealth. So I'm telling black men this with love and truth. You don't need more motivation. You need direction. You need a 5-year plan. You need a monthly budget. You need a weekly routine. You need a savings target. You need an investment strategy. You need a skill stack. You need a mission. Because the moment you live with intention, your money starts to behave. And the moment you stop living off vibes, your future starts to open up. Let me close this point with this. If you don't build a plan for your life, you will spend your life funding other people's plans. Jobs, companies, brands, systems. Everybody else will get rich off of your effort while you stay stuck in survival. Not because you're not capable, because you didn't choose a direction. And if you take nothing else from this, vision isn't optional, it's the foundation. Let me be clear before I end this. Yes, racism is real. Yes, the system is flawed. Yes, the playing field isn't equal, but ownership is still our responsibility. Nobody is coming to save black men financially. Not politicians, not trends, not excuses. Change starts with discipline, planning, literacy, accountability, and responsibility. The real flex isn't looking rich, it's peace, it's stability, ownership, and options. And the moment we start telling the truth about money is the moment everything changes. If this hits you, don't argue, audit yourself. Ask, which one of these is costing me the most money right now? If you're serious about growth, like this video, comment ownership. Subscribe for real conversations on money, mindset, manhood, and legacy. Share this with a brother who needs truth, not comfort.